Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is our Wednesday Wow, and I am wowed and excited to have Beverly Fells Jones with us today. And I'm going to go ahead and give you her bio information so you get to know her a little bit better as well. But I'm going to tell you, when me and this lady get together, we have a good time. So I would love for you to have a good time with us today as well. All right. Beverly Fells Jones, certified in hypnosis, is an internationally known author, speaker, and can't read, radio and television personality, advisor, and authority on the topics of memory, empowerment, and success. She is the author of the 3 informative books, including Manifesting the Life You Want, and Christianity, the Law of Attraction, and The One Command. Known as the silver fox of consciousness, Beverly enables her clients to realize real change mentally and physically through her private sessions, seminars, and retreats. Functioning as one of IBM's top performers for almost 30 years, likewise with Hewlett-Packard for over a decade, Beverly Fells Jones developed the ability to get to the root cause of issues quickly and easily. Her experiences prepared her to be an advisor, consultant, and confidant to individuals and companies who want their staff to perform at their highest capacity. Ms. Jones develops and delivers cutting-edge training and has facilitated the advancement of individuals by the thousands worldwide. Beverly helps her clients learn and apply techniques to their life desires, enabling them to clear away stumbling blocks to success. Using proven processes, her clients learn how to become a master of their own destiny while experiencing more abundance, increased performance, magnificent relationships, and living with a lot less stress. She has graduated from Dallas Baptist University with a BS and MBA, and she lives in the Dallas area. So I'm going to bring her on now. Aren't you excited? Hey, Louisa, I see you out there. All right, Beverly. Come on.
Hey, hi. It's so great to be here. Of course, it's always great having a conversation with you.
Yes, I know. We are I don't know, but the last conversation we got to have on your YouTube channel was so much fun. And I was like, oh, I would just want to do this every day. I just want to talk to Beverly all the time. You make me feel better. You lift me up. You lift my spirits. And I know you do that with all of your clients as well. So yes, Louisa, I'll just tell you, Louisa is saying, hey, isn't she a vision? Yes, you are a vision.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So we're going to talk today about Think and Grow Rich. And what brought you to this material?
Well, that's a really good question, because I'm going to have to think about that. Well, it's always a roundabout way. We find one thing and then we find something else we want to read and find something else. Well, I was a part of a multi-level marketing group. I won't say which one, but they tell you to read certain things, and Think and Grow Rich was one of them. Well, when I picked it up and started reading it, I realized I had read it in the 80s, and when I read it, it meant nothing to me. I mean, I read it and I said, okay, people said, read this, what's this? And all I saw from that, or I felt from that, was, oh, if I get 100 people to sell from me, I can be rich. Or if I get, it wasn't something I was interested in. I was in corporate America, making good money. I wasn't interested in what he had to say. Now, some of his techniques were okay, but no. But fast forward to about 2009, and I got introduced to the One Command. I got introduced to the book Ask and It Is Given. All right. So Abraham. And then I got introduced to all these people. And then it was like, read, Think, and Grow Rich. So I read it and I said, oh, this is more interesting. And then I had a friend of mine who said, let's study it, because she had found this little workbook. And we started studying it. And boy, the light bulb started coming on, the information, and I'm going, why didn't I notice this when I read it? Of course, I said, well, you were a whole lot younger with a whole lot less experience. And so we started doing this study, and as we were studying, I saw the holes in the workbook. So I
Mm.
started creating a new workbook for us. And then, as you know, when you learn something and then you study it and then you teach it. So I created a workbook. I brought on some friends and I taught it and combined it with hypnosis. So at the end of every session, there's a meditation so that we hold on to the information we learned. Well, that was
Mhm.
6, 7 classes ago. Well, from that small workbook, I now have a larger workbook because each time I teach the class, I find something additional, some other pieces. I said, no, we didn't notice that before. We didn't talk about that before. And so that's how I'm in Think and Grow Rich, because I now know, combined with um, the law of attraction, combined with knowing Abraham or knowing Deepak Chopra or no, all of these teachers, The Secret, knowing all of those things now and reading Think and Grow Rich, I understand what Napoleon Hill was doing. He was teaching New Age stuff in a way that was palatable to people. Because most people, if you said hypnosis back then in 1937 when it was written, it was like, huh? I'm not going to have anybody mess with my mind.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's like
yeah.
now somebody says, you're a hypnotist. Can you hypnotize me? And I go, not unless you want to. Well,
Yeah,
can you
right.
make me cluck like a chicken? No, I don't do that. You know, those kinds of things. So there's a
When
lot
I'll
of stuff.
say this, when I was doing hypnosis and I had my practice, people would say that to me all the time, and they go, "We don't want to make me cluck like a chicken," and I said, "Sure, go ahead and cluck like a chicken," and they go, "Quack, quack, quack," and I'm like,
See, I just made
I
you.
guess we just did it. Then can we get to the good stuff?
That's a good one. I'm gonna borrow that one. That's
Yeah,
a
do
good
it.
one. Yes. But that's how I kind of got into the process. And like I said, each time I teach it, each time I study it, there is even more information added. And I've added information into the workbook that expands the information. Plus, it was written in 1937, so I bring it into today. And in 1937, they were in the middle of the Depression,
Yeah.
right? And so the title, Think and Grow Rich, people are going, all I got to do is think and I can grow rich, right? So he sold lots of those because people were starving, people were out of work, people were, if they were working, it was minimal, and they were looking for ways to improve their life. And so it was released in 1937, but he had been working on it since the 1920s. And as I studied this more, the manuscript came from a home study course that he released in 1927.
Wow.
But it's even deeper there. So he took the main parts out of that course and put it in this book.
I love it. So let's talk about actionable things, So I know that I believe there's 13 chapters of this book and
There is
13 processes or 13 things you learn about. What were some of the standouts that I'm really good at this? Can you tell?
I know. So I brought the book.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much.
Make sure I have all the chapters, because I'm one of these people. There is a saying, I think it was Albert Einstein. They asked him for his phone number, and he went and got the phone book, right? And they said, well, why are you looking up your phone book? He said, I don't call myself. Why should I clutter my mind with all that? Now, I know most of the chapters, but I like having information in front of me. So, because one of the things I hate is giving out misinformation. So,
meanwhile, I love giving out misinformation.
but the idea is that, and I'll give you this example. When I was teaching for IBM, and I would watch some of the instructors, and the student would ask a question and they didn't know the answer. They would make up an answer, or they'll throw something out there. And I
Right.
looked at that and I said, so that student will go back and they'll be working on the premise of that answer, and it would be wrong.
Wrong.
Sometimes it's right. So I got to the point where I would say, I don't know, let's look it up. So that's where I am. I don't care if I'm in the middle of a coaching session. I don't care if I'm in the middle of a talk. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to say, I'll look that up and I'll get back to you. You know, so I'll look it up and
Yeah,
get back
that's it. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
get
I
back
think
to
I
you.
think that was I had to start doing that too, because the greatest gift we can give ourselves is knowing when we don't know something and
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, I don't have any idea.
I have
I'll
no
find
idea.
it."
My ego is not that high that I'm gonna give you some made up answer. So anyway, so let's get
So,
back to the chapters in
yeah.
the book.
So, now, what would you say is a section that that appeals to you the most? What is something
Well,
that
I
you feel
won't
like?
say
Oh,
it appeals to me the most. Let me talk about the section that everybody talks about.
oh, okay.
All right. And that's and it is chapter 2. Desire, the turning point of all achievement, is the title of chapter 2. But in chapter 2 is when you set your goal for what you want to achieve in, while you're going through this process. And he sets the goal up in such a way that you define that goal. But his goal is how much money. How much money are you going to make, right? So, how much money? What the date by which you do it. Now, some of you are going to recognize what I'm saying. The date by which you're going to do it. What are you going to do to get it? Why do you want to do it? And then create a scenario around this. Now, most people who hear this recognize this, as every goal setting class you've ever been to has those pieces to it. They
Yeah.
got it right from here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or they got it from the other guy that taught them about goal setting and they just took it and started doing. But Napoleon Hill is the one that actually laid out this idea about goal setting. So this to me is an important part of the entire process, because you've got to know what you want to be when you grow up, or you got to know what it is that you desire. And I go through this, and it doesn't have to be money. It could be, I'm looking for my soulmate, or it could be good health. But this is concentrating on money. So one of the things for me, and it's funny, I think about my life and the things that I've accomplished, and it's like, but I never set an amount of money that I wanted to make. I mean, I had a goal. When I was with IBM, I was listening to a couple of the managers, and they were talking about paying off their Social Security in September. They had paid the maximum, and so now they had that money coming into their paycheck. So back then it was around $45,000. I mean, most people listening now, it just, it kept going up.
Yeah.
And I heard them and I went, what do you mean pay off Social Security? I know it never dawned on me. So guess what my goal was? To pay off Social Security so I have that extra money in my check. And I chased that. Now, I couldn't stay in admin. I had to go to a different, position. But that was a goal. I didn't put a date on it, right? There wasn't an amount. I just knew I needed to pay whatever the amount was for Social Security and pay it off. I got there. I got there just about the time they started raising the limit. So I got there. 1 year I paid off Social Security in November. And then they kept raising the limit till finally it was like the last paycheck in December, I paid off Social Security. So I still had a little bit. But that was a goal without a date, right?
Yeah.
Other people, it's like, how much money do you want to make? How much is it? But mine was make enough to pay off Social Security. And then I got to, okay, I want to get to 6 figures. but I never set a date. Um, and it's important to set a date. And the reason to set a date is because you've got to let universal mind know, okay, no, it's not going to be 20 years from now that I'm going to give it to you. I need this in 6 months, or I want this in a year. Now, I tell people to be reasonable,
Yeah.
but if you're looking, he says, in 5 years, where do you want to be? In 10 years, where do you want to be? And a lot of people never think about that. I listen to some young people today, and they're 18 and they've got their life planned. I'm going to get married at 25. I'm going to have this. And I'm going, I was just getting out of high school. Oh, I'm going to go to college. But I never was taught how to make these long range plans. Well, mainly because my parents and those in my circle, they didn't know this. So that's why this is important for young people and old folks like me, because we still need a plan. I don't care how old you are, you still need a plan. So chapter 2 is really important, because you got to know what you want to be when you grow up, and how much money you want to make, and by what date. Or you want to get that Mercedes Benz, or you want to get that house, and that house has got to be, and you've got to define what that house is going to be. Is it going to be 3,000 square feet, or are you happy with a tiny house that's 560 square feet? What do you want? And so that's chapter 2, the starting point of all achievement.
That's huge. And in hypnosis, and you know this too, you ask somebody, what do you want? And the first thing they do is tell you everything they don't want. And it's so interesting, because when we push them then and say, no, that's not what I asked, or I hear you, these are the things you don't want, and I can tell that all of your focus continues to be on what you don't want. What do you want? And it's almost like their brain and their body and their being just takes us like, and
it switches. So what do you want instead?
I can just say what I want. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are not used to being asked, what do they want?
Yeah.
We ask, what's bothering you? Well, what don't you have that you need? What do you need? Right?
Yeah.
And so we concentrate on the negative, and in reality, we need to concentrate on that which we want in our life. Because the more we concentrate on what we don't have, or what we're lacking, or what my boss won't do, or what my spouse won't do, or what we got to say, what is it that I want in my life? And then start asking for that, acting as though you have it, right? Which is part of what's in the book. But I draw from the scriptures, believe you have received and it will be yours, right? I draw from all the great masters. And I tell people, even in my videos, it's like, I do Neville Goddard, who was around in the early 20s, around this time too, and he passed in the 70s. And then there's Jose Silva, who passed in 99. And so I say, I look at all the old masters and I learn from them, and then I bring it forward in today's language, and I do not hold back. So many people, they give you this little piece, and then you got to come back and get some more, and you got to come back and get some more, and it's like drip, drip, drip. Right. And I go, I'd rather lose you as a client, but have you happy and doing the things that you love when you do this. So that's the importance when I'm teaching this class.
Well, that's the thing, because I did the same thing in my practice. I was like, I don't want you to become codependent on me, because I just can't bear the weight of that. Right. I would rather you get well and tell all your friends, so that then they can get well. And then you just continue this cycle of awesomeness, and it just kind of trickles down, and, you learn tools and you get where you need to go. And so that's a defining point I believe, a good counselor or a good coach or someone who has the health and well-being of their client in mind, which you have. So I love that.
It's important because I had a really not good relationship, and it was with a good narcissist.
Yeah, those are the
And
tricky ones. When they're good narcissists, you better watch out.
I call him a good narcissist because when we broke up the first time, yeah, I did wind up going back, but the first time I was devastated. I was tears. I was in pain. I called my girlfriend and said, I'm hurting. I need, I'm going to counseling. She says, Bev, you've had breakups before. You don't need to go to, no, I need to go to counseling. So, EAP that they have, and you get 10 sessions.
Yeah.
Well, this man, I never went to the 10th session because he never asked me what was going on. I don't know if he didn't know about narcissists, because if he had talked to me about what was going on and the fact that this was a narcissistic relationship, I probably would have healed and wouldn't have gone back.
Mm-hmm.
But I wound up going back. But by the time the second breakup came, I was done.
Yeah.
I was healed. I was finished. And then what was so funny? Oh gosh. Okay, guys, I'm gonna share this with you. He showed up. We broke up like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. He showed up on my doorstep 2 weeks ago. He just showed up. I was sitting here at the house and the doorbell rang. Thankfully, I had my makeup on here.
We have quarantine, Beverly.
But I opened the door and I was surprised. But in those kind of relationships, and I'm sure somebody's going to listen to this and go, I know what that is. I did not invite him in. I stepped out onto the porch and talked to him on the porch. And my whole attitude was totally different.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he's sick. I said, oh, he needs a nurse, but he's sick, and well, I'm just checking on you, making sure you're still alive with all this. And I said, okay, well, good. And well, you take care of yourself. You checking your medication, because I always taught him to check the side effects of checking that. Okay, well, good. Well, I don't want to hold up your time. Never answered that question. I just stayed quiet, because that's one of those things you fall into.
Yeah.
And he walked away, and I came in the house and closed the door, and it was like, yes, that feeling of control.
Yeah.
And this is a whole nother conversation for another thing.
But it's such a good conversation. I mean, really standing in your power with someone who has been abusive or an attacker, or even if it's something they don't realize that they're doing, they just know that that's how they survive. That's how their parents taught them to survive. And that's how they've learned that that's how the world works, and their mental map of everything. And it doesn't matter who they hurt in the process.
Well, my main point in this is that counselor didn't help me.
Yeah.
He was getting me through those 10 sessions and probably was going to say, well, if you wanted to continue the sessions, they're this amount. And I quit because he wasn't helping me. Mm-hmm. He wasn't giving it. So I finally, over time, I found information on the internet, thankfully, and it helped me realize it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But that whole idea of having a counselor or a coach or somebody who is working to get you to the point where you are self-sufficient, you can think on your own, you can use good thought processes and work things out in such a way that you come to a logical conclusion. Mm-hmm. That is a good coach. A coach who inspires you to do more than you think you can do, or inspires you to say, this isn't for me. Yeah. Let's talk about something else, because everybody always talks about you can do it, and maybe you can, but it might not be what you need to be doing. So I go both ways. It's like I give you permission to quit. If you want.
That's so interesting. And I think overall, in general, we're talking about Think and Grow Rich, but in order to allow in things, we can't also have like an energy vampire on us, and we can't, someone in our life who's just like we're pouring money into. I see
Yes.
that, or I used to see that when I saw clients. They would come to me and they would say, "Oh, well, I'm, I have this relationship or family member or whomever that just keeps taking and taking and taking." And it's like, okay, well, first of all, you keep giving. So what is
Yes.
it in there for you?
Right.
And so if you want something like Think and Grow Rich to work, or if you want something, like Asking is Given to be something that's, and you put those principles in practice, you got to cut out some of those areas where that money is getting just sucked away, and that energy and time and health, and all that kind of stuff. So having the realization that there's someone in your life that's doing that to you, and hopefully going to a good counselor, having a good coach like Beverly.
Well, the key,
Would be
that
better.
key
Yeah.
is being able to say no. And one of the things that I learned from this relationship is that I did give up my power. I would be hanging on a string for his approval. And this is what happens to a lot of other people who are looking for approval from others. But if you're going to think and grow rich, you got to give up that thing called approval. It's like, for me, being able to talk my truth and don't care what Facebook says or Instagram says or Twitter world, just be able to say it. And okay, what's the one of the words? It's like, when you get haters, you've made it. When people are hating on you, you've made it.
I cannot imagine any person whatsoever in this planet being a hater on you. That's for sure. You are so lovable.
Well, it's that, thank you. But it's that whole thing that there are times when I say things that is totally opposite to their beliefs. And when you give somebody something that is opposite to their beliefs, and I'm a believer in facts, so I'm going to give you my research, I'm going to link you to my research, or I'm going to tell you what the facts are, and it's your choice of what you want to believe. It's like going through this, and the next chapter, the chapter on the subconscious, is like a really deep kind of, well, the next chapter, this one's faith, but the chapters on subconscious and how your subconscious works. Well, for us, man, we're just talking about that and telling you what, whatever you feed it is what's going to come in. And teaching people exactly how it works. As I tell people, I teach you how to consciously access your subconscious, because you're doing it on a regular basis. You're just not doing it consciously. So helping people shift and change their paradigm, or look at their beliefs and go, that's not serving me anymore. I'm not telling you whether it's right or it's wrong, but this belief is not serving you. So therefore, let's talk about what will serve you in your life. So the subconscious is chapter is really deep.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've got to work on that and your belief system. Because if it's the little train that can, or little train that could, I think I can, I think I can't, I think I can, I think I can, that whole thing. It's funny and it's a kid's story, but it's truth. And when you hear, ask and it's given, and seek and you shall find, right? Well, seek and you shall find, we see that today, because whatever you believe and you seek it, you will find the evidence of it. Even if it's a tiny little shred. See, that doesn't work. There's a story about a woman who looked up and said, okay, you said, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could tell the mountain to move, and it will, right? And so she looked up at the mountain and said, I want you to move. I want you to shift a little bit so I can see you shift. And I want you to do it in the morning, right? Now, both of us, we're all going, yeah. But if you had that faith, So she got up the next morning and said, see, I told you, I knew you wouldn't move. Right? So
That's not fake.
we experience that kind of thing on a regular basis. Yeah, we want that. We're hoping for that promotion. We're doing, but we're scared to death on the inside. And Johnny over there and Mary Kay over there, they got better um, what is it, degrees at a different college than me. I don't have my degree yet, and I don't know if I'll get that job. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doubting it, you'll go into that interview when you're there to sell yourself and you won't sell yourself because that doubt will show through. And so therefore, Mary Kay got the job and you say, see, I knew I wouldn't get it. If I had my degree, I would have gotten it. And I'm talking from experience, right? In the fact that for many years, I was moving through corporate world without my degree. And when I got the buyout from IBM and I knew I had to find another job, I was in doubt because I didn't have my degree. And so I'm looking at jobs and, trying to hide it in the resume and putting all the training I had and everything. And I went for the interview at HP. And one of the pieces of it was to do a sample teach. Well, I'm a Toastmaster or was a Toastmaster. So I learned how to time things to the nth degree. I had 20 minutes. And so I took an intro class that I was teaching at IBM and I taught 20 minutes of it. And at 18 minutes and 30 seconds, I go, well, this is a very good point for me to say that we need to take a break. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about da 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 da. Okay. So I got hired, and about 6 months in, my boss says to me, you're the first person that ever came in to didn't go over the time or didn't go super short. The secretary that was in there said she could do what you taught her, even though I was teaching her computer stuff. He said, but what got you the job was that you sent a thank you note.
Simple.
I had never sent a thank you note. I had never done that before. I've been on interviews, but my intuition said, send a note recapping what you talked about, recapping how, your benefits of hiring you. And he said, that's what got, beside the teach, he said, that's what got you the job. But had I not followed my subconscious and my intuition, I wouldn't have gotten it. And had I not been confident in my teaching skills, but concentrated on the fact that I didn't have a degree, then I probably wouldn't have gotten the job. So I say all that to say you've got to have a certain level of belief in your life to achieve what you want in your life. So don't be in doubt, because if you're in doubt, you put a wrinkle in that universe giving you what you want.
That's so true. That's so true. Barbara Nassarian, she's saying, so motivating. She said, I've been a Toastmaster for 9 years. I'm really impressed with the way she's speaking.
Well, thank you. I still have my ums and ums.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's like when you get away from it, and I'll listen to some recordings. I go, there you go again. And you got so, which is another one of those fillers.
So. I know. I think mine is also, if consider this. I say consider.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No.
I gotta stop now, otherwise I'll not say another word this entire program.
Okay.
When I was growing up, I was taught to, we sold vegetables door to door. We, I did yard sales. I did, so I was kind of born with the hustle in me. And I knew that if something didn't work out, I was going to have to find another way to do it. And I think when we get outside of our, I love this. Some research was done on this, and it was, saying if you have no option now, like all of the plans that you had in place for yourself, if you took them all away, what do you have left? And 100% of the time, it's not going to be nothing. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have something, and it kind of opens the mind up to other potentials and possibilities. And even though I have not read Think and Grow Rich, as we all know, I hope something like that would be in there, or some idea of if all else fails.
Well, he talks about failure is not an option.
Very
Failure is
good.
not, and there's a definition of failure. It's a definition in there about planning. You've heard people plan your work your plan, and he says it in a different way. But he talks about the fact that if you fail, was it because the plan was wrong and you need to rework the plan? Or did you not follow through on what you need? Or was it not something you were supposed to do? So you're going to analyze the failure, but he says most of the time it's because people don't continue with their plan, or they don't make a plan. And there's a certain amount of planning to go in. So what I'm doing when we're setting up what you want, your goal, I said the first thing you need to do is only the first step, just the first step. So if you want to be a doctor, then you got to go get your BS, right?
Yeah.
And then after you get your BS, then you got to go for your medical, then you got to go for residency. So those steps are laid out for you. But sometimes you're not sure how you're going to get from point A to point B because there's all this stuff in between. But you start with the first step, or maybe the first two steps. And when you show that you really want this, the universe will give you step 3. Or somebody's going to show up in your life and says, I see you're doing this. Can I help you with this? Or, I have this friend over here that you might want to talk to because they're doing something similar. Maybe you all can collaborate. When I first was starting to write Christianity and the Law of Attraction, I was writing it in pieces, but I didn't know how I was going to put it together. I just started writing and I created a blog, right? Because all these different things were coming in my head. And so I just started writing until I got to a point. It's like, okay, when are you going to get that book out? Okay, I'm going to get it. And eventually, universe said, here's how you're going to put it together. Here's what you're going to use. Here's the order that you're going to put it. And it just helped itself. But the first step was actually writing, right? You tell your people that all the time.
All
Just
the time.
writing. If you want to open a business, there was this one young lady that I was working with who was a hairdresser. And she wanted a certain kind of space, right, for her salon. So one of the things I talk about is visualizing that space, visualizing it. So as you've got your goals set, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, blah, 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 but that space. And I just told her to visualize it. Well, this is the space I want. Okay. So what's going to happen when you get that space? Because when we're looking for these goals, we need to look beyond just getting it, just getting the space. Okay, once you get the space, you got to fill it out and,
Now what? Yeah.
all that. So one of the things, and here's the secret for your people, is that you think about what it's going to be like when you're in the space doing what you love. So I told her, I said, I want you to think of that. And if you've got somebody who is one of your favorite clients or a family member who's in your thing, I want you to think about seeing that person in that space. Maybe you're working on their hair. I said, but I want you to put some words in that person's mouth that they're going to say to you when you're in that space. I said, and that's all you're going to concentrate on. Do not tell anybody what those words are, because when those words come, you know that infinite intelligence has just told you, I helped you get that space. So I tell the story of me getting my truck. And my truck, I have two friends, and we manifest together. And it was in February, and we went camping, and we're sitting in the camper and we're talking about what we want, and I'm talking about the truck, and all I knew is I wanted F-150 with Echo Boost. I didn't know what color. I didn't know.
Hello, Dallas. Okay. Hello, Dallas.
Yes. Yeah,
Smart
we're
girl right there driving a pickup truck. I got me a
yes.
pickup truck too.
Good. So that's all I knew, but I wasn't sure the color. I didn't know different things, but I wasn't in a hurry. And this was February. And so I went on looking at different things, and October came. I still had no truck. And November, I went to this other place and I looked. And finally, I was getting ready to take a trip in December, and I didn't want to drive my old truck because it had 150,000 miles on it. So now the urgency, the urgency kicked in. And so I was sitting there, saw this ad, and they said, go to this car dealership. Now, I've been to every Ford dealer in the world, but I hadn't been to that one. Well, that weekend, I got my truck. So I'm getting ready to drive off the lot, and I go, oh, wait a minute. I pulled over, and I called my one girlfriend, and the phone was ringing. I said, oh, no. I said, because she was at work. I remembered she was at work. I said, I can't. She won't answer the phone. She'll let it go to voicemail. Well, she answered, right? And I go, I know you're not supposed to answer your phone, but I just want to let you know I got my truck. And I hung up. And then I texted the other girlfriend. So then we all got together, and I'm telling Janet, I said, I don't know why I called you. I know better than call you when you're at work. And she said, no, I heard you say I got my truck. And Bonnie said, and I visualized getting the text.
Oh,
I got my
I
truck.
just got chills. I just got that. Oh my God.
Yes. Yes. So that was my answer from the universe saying, this is your truck. But there's one more piece to this whole thing. I looked up on the window, and that's where your sticker is for inspection. Well, it used to be, now it's all changed. The inspection sticker, oh, it had 70 miles on it when I was pulling out. And the inspection sticker was February.
Oh my God, you were just
It was sitting there waiting for me to
waiting.
come get it and to say, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. And I believe that. With 70 miles on it, is a nice truck. Oh, by the way, it had even more bells and whistles on it than I asked, because we always ask for this or something better.
Yeah.
But this is an example of when you do that visualization of what it's going to feel like, what's it going to look like when you get what you want. That was confirmation, and I've had those confirmations over and over again. And that piece really isn't from Napoleon. It's actually from Neville Goddard. So I kind of combine his information as well as Charles Hannell and everything when I'm teaching the Think and Grow Rich class, because it gives a richer look. It gives you more information, and it takes it down to the heart and the subconscious level, and now you'll be able to do those things.
Perfect. So tell me, we'll wrap it up here. And I definitely had some of those too. We had trouble. I'll tell you one really quick. We had trouble selling our house. We were moving from Missouri to here to Phoenix.
Okay.
So it was so frustrating because it took a year. But the funny thing is that I let it go. Like I was like, you know what? Apparently the universe just wants us to stay here, and we'll just be here until we're not here. And I was telling my husband this on a trip back from Virginia, and I because of where my family is. And I was like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm done fighting with it. our realtor called, like almost right after I said that. And he said, can I bring some people in to take a look at your house? And I said, I don't know the condition. I don't know the cat litter box. I don't know, because we've been out of town and da da da. And he goes, all right, well, they really want to see it. And I said, sure, go ahead, whatever, doesn't matter. I've let it go now. And then don't you know, they immediately put a contract on the house. But the thing about it is that they were the first couple to look at it a year previously.
Oh, wow. That's why they wanted to come back. They already knew.
But it wasn't time. I had
it
not
wasn't their
released
time.
it. I
Right.
hadn't released it yet.
Yes.
So as soon as I released, and then 3 weeks from that moment, 3 weeks later, we were living in Phoenix.
Awesome.
You know,
but you've got to release it. You've got to let go of the day to day, or the I've got to get this done. Like I said, get the first or the second thing you need to do, and then let the universe tell you what needs to come next. And sometimes the universe says, just sit down. Just sit back and do.
Get out of the way, please. I'm trying to do magic for you here. Gosh.
But yeah, the Think and Grow Rich book, and for those of you who already have it, chapter 7, we take 2 weeks, 2 sessions on chapter 7, because that's the chapter you learn about you and who you are and what do you have inside you. And there's a set of questions that I tell people, when you go through this, do it at least once a year or twice a year. You know, New Year's, and then maybe the end of June, 1st of July, you go through and you answer those questions. And there's some pretty hard questions, and you can't fool yourself. And it'll tell you why you may not be succeeding, and where where your desire is and where your faith level is. It helps you with that. So chapter 2 and chapter 7 are awesome.
That's fantastic. How are people going to get in touch with you to potentially take a class, or reach out to get some coaching or get some help with you?
Okay. So to learn about my classes right now, there's just one out there, but I use Eventbrite. And so it's very easy. It's tinyurl.com/thinkrich 2019. I haven't changed the tiny URL, right? So tinyurl.com/thinkrich 2019. I'm changing up my websites and stuff, but you can find me on Facebook. Just look for Beverly Fells Jones, and you can messenger me, friend me. Commanding Your Life is my fan page. And then on YouTube, I've got Manifesting Napoleon Hill, Manifesting Neville Goddard, a whole bunch of other stuff, gardening and cooking and that kind of stuff. And you look for Beverly Fells Jones on YouTube. I make it easy for people to find me. But you could, if you're on Facebook, just send me a message, or you can just do, let's do Go See Beverly. That's SEE, Go See Beverly at Gmail. That's easy to remember. To find me, or just Google Beverly Fells Jones.
You will find her, my friend.
You will find me.
The universe will bring you two together.
Yeah, so YouTube and LinkedIn, Twitter, I'm out there. I don't use them all, but when you first start doing this stuff, you are, you're out there. But I'm revamping my websites and that kind of thing. So I tell people, don't do those. Just send me a message, or just go to tinyurl.com/thinkrich 2019. You can send me a message through Eventbrite as a coordinator.
Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us, Beverly. Don't go away because I'm going to chat with you after the program.
Okay.
But to
But
our
thank you
listeners,
so much for having me. This is always fun when we're talking.
I know. I just have such a good time talking to my silver fox. Love it.
All right. So I'll shut up now.
Yeah. All right. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be continuing to do the Wednesday Wow through September. I don't know if we're going to go into October, but we may. So please check in 1 p.m. Pacific. And that is that. I'm Kyra Schaefer with As You Wish Publishing at asyouwishpublishing.com. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please subscribe. We'd love to have you. Please thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever. But, I have feelings. Don't hurt my feelings.
Yeah, hit the bell so you get notified
Ring the bell.
when she uploads that video.
That's right. Thank you so much, guys. And I hope you have a great day and just keep loving each other. Let's just keep doing the best we can. All right. Take care.